you didn't go into games leadership spaces going, what I'm going to do is help people with goal setting. Why was this a thing that you became interested in and started helping people with?
Yeah, I mean, so I have my company is called Games Leadership, and my passion and my obsession is around all topics to do with leadership, of which goal setting is kind of an offshoot of that. And it goes hand in hand with things like change management and power dynamics. These are all kind of things that line up and form that under that umbrella of leadership in the games industry. And I think when I think about the games industry and the challenges that leadership faces in creating a game, then it becomes so much more, again, that layer of like, how do we set ourselves up for success? And I think, people don't come to me and go, how do I get better at goal setting? People come to me and go, how do I make this game? How do I be a better leader? How do I make more impact? How do I inspire people around me to follow me into, this crazy dev cycle that's about to begin and maybe take us 3 to 5 years of our lives? And I need to motivate other people to join me in that and somehow stick with me so that we can get this out. Maybe I need to then also raise funds. I've got to figure out how this works and keep the business running and people paid on time and all of these things. And ultimately that leads back to, how do we set ourselves up for success? And I think that's the question that people come to me with, not how do I get better at setting goals.
Is it then, like, if you were to diagnose this, is it more that people are picking insufficient goals or wrong goals? Do you see both? Like, how would you describe it? That again, that you brought this back and said, like, hang on, I don't think you're doing a good job of setting goals here.
I'm always reticent to be like, that's a bad goal. But I do hear some bad goals. I think as humans, we are just bad at setting goals in general. We often choose to punish ourselves over kind of setting ourselves up for success, so we'll pick, instead of like a little goal of like, I don't know, I'm going to make myself a cup of tea, I'll pick like, I need to be earning 100K a year. Like, why am I not doing that? And we'll beat ourselves up. Like, we find stuff to beat ourselves up about all the time. So often the goals that we pick, we go for something big. And I love that. Like, I find that very lovely. Like when I start to work with a client and they give me a massive goal, and usually in the games industry, it'll be like, I want to release a game. Great. Love that. How are you going to do it? And that's where it falls apart, because they've set themselves this massive goal. They don't know how they're going to do it, but they want to do it, but they're constantly feeling like a failure because they're not achieving anything that they feel or that looks like is working towards that goal. In fact, it feels like it's getting further and further away. We're inherently bad at setting ourselves goals as humans. I think there's lots of research on like the science of like happiness that will tell you things like we often pick things that aren't great kind of success factors or don't feel good or maybe shifting goals. So like money is one of them. We often do that. We'll set ourselves a target and be like, well, I need this amount of money to be happy. If I had that amount of money to be happy, I would be the happiest person alive. And actually the science behind that shows that doesn't happen. They go to people that are on like 25K and they ask them how much they need to be happy. They'll come up and they'll say maybe just a bit more, like 35K. That would make me happier, just having that pay rise. So they go to the people at 35K and they say how much you need to be happy. And again, they'll be like, well, probably about 50K. And they go to the 50K and then it starts to jump a bit more and they'll go like, well, 100K would be great. So they go to the people with 100K and they're earning and they ask them, well, you must be the happiest person alive because everybody else that we've asked so far has come in well under. So 100K earners must be so happy. And that's not the case. The 100K earners are suddenly after 100K, I think this is in dollars, the number then jumped to, I need 250,000 a year in order to be happy, which kind of tells us that, number one, money's a terrible goal to set for ourselves, but also number two, that there's different I have different quality goals, you know. There's different aspects of goal setting that can shift and change, and I often see this when I work with clients as well. You know, that what they thought they wanted is no longer what they want. So I might come in wanting a certain thing, or thinking at least that that's what I want, and the answer is that when we work together and we start to explore some of the reasons why that's important to them, their feelings about that goal change, and then they're left with kind of a lack of motivation to then want to achieve it. I set myself, I do 100 at the start of the year in the front of my diary, and I list out like 100 things that I want to do this year. And often I do it on like 1st of January, and then I don't look at it until next January. And there's a couple of things that happened when I started to do this, and I've done it for about 8 years now. The first thing is that I am shocked by what I want, what I thought I wanted a year ago. You know, like sometimes the future me, or the current me, is disappointed with what past me set for herself. I'll be like, that was so easy. You know, it'll be like, have a picnic in the park, and I'm like, what a loser. And I achieved it. You know, I did it like 10 times in the year. And I'll be like, why did she want that? Like, that's such a weird thing that I would have set myself, but I'd forgotten that I'd set myself that goal. And then the other side of it, going back, is I'm amazed at how much of them I've actually achieved. And some of them are wild. Like, some of them I set for myself are just like, I'll put them in and laugh and be like, that's such a silly goal that I would never thought I would achieve. And I have surprised myself that following year and gone, oh, I did that. Like, I actually did that. That was something that I, you know, I sat on a BAFTA jury, for example. That was a big part of my career. I spoke at GDC. That's a, you know, a career kind of tick box that I never thought was possible. And then I achieved it. So I'm not sure where I'm going with this. I'm trying to give you the kind of the flavor of goal setting is complicated.
And one thing you said, and I think this comes into, you know, you go into a studio, they don't say, hi, I need help with goals. They say, I think I know the goal. My goal is to ship a game. Can you help me ship a game? Or obviously they don't say, I think I know what my goal is. They just say, can you help me ship a game?
Right.
And you say, yeah, probably. But
what game? What game are we making?
what does that mean? And it's almost that I had a phrase I used in a training I did once, and it was trying to differentiate like vision and strategy. And it said, like, vision without strategy is hopeless, and strategy without vision is pointless. And like, so you should have that goal, but you also need these little goals. You need these, like, okay, cool. If you want to make this thing happen, this big goal happen, you want to ship the game, then I'll give a, like, as a business owner, then you need to make sure taxes are taken care of for your company. Yeah. Right. I just to use the most annoying one. And there's some people when they go, wait a minute, I have to take care of taxes. Can't the CPA do that? Like, well, the CPA, you know, if you've never done this, the CPA, the tax professional, they can do some of it, but you have to work with them, and you have to assemble documents, and you have to send them a bunch of information. You have to give them access. Like, it's a huge thing. And there's some people that might immediately go, I don't know if I want to make a game anymore if it means I have to mess with taxes. Like, I like just being able to plug all my stuff into TurboTax or whatever, and then just auto run on April 14th, and, you know, good to go. Like, and that again, I'm using that as sort of a farcical example, but I don't doubt that there's someone out there that had the big goal of make a game and then was exposed to what it would mean to assemble a studio. Right. Oh, I mean, I need to manage people. Oh, I need to hire people. Oh, I need to, like, figure out how to market this. Oh, I need to talk to publishers. Oh, I need to try to find funding. Oh, I need to do my taxes. Oh, I need to, like, set up the business as a legal entity in whatever country, state, province, region I'm in the world. Like, and it's like, ugh, I don't want to do any of that. It's like, okay, right? Like, then you have to adjust your goal potentially.
Right, but all of those things can be part of that end goal. It's not that the goal is bad. You know, we are shipping games. People are doing that. That is a thing that we can achieve. It's just that, you know, when we go in with those big heady goals, there's very little in there that feels good in the short term. Right, it has to take into consideration all of those things that come into it. A lot of what I'm teaching when I look at goal setting is like, how do we get those small wins, you know, because that your motivation to achieve that big goal of shipping a game has to feel like you're winning enough in order to keep you on that path and follow through. So a lot of, you know, the techniques that I look at is like, well, how do we chunk that up? And we do this anyway. Like, you know, if the goal is to make a game, production comes in, and you'll know this, you know, they
right.
chunk it up into like,
We
this is
start
pre-production.
planning.
Yeah. We love this. This is the best bit, is the planning bit.
Milestones, roadmap, yay.
So we've already done that for the game making process. But what we haven't done is look outside of that. And I go on about this, you know, one of the biggest challenges I think that games leaders face is this kind of pressure of like the studio versus making a game. Because when we say I want to make a game, we also often have to make a game studio. And you're right in that, you know, there's a huge amount of friction between, sometimes those move beautifully together and they are the same goal, and sometimes they are fighting, you know. And I often I'm operations, so I often come up against producers. You know, you and I would have a fight over the production values, because it's like the producer's role is often to make the game, make the best game they can with the resources that they've got, and they want to do it really well, versus say an operations director or a COO, where it's like, well, I've got to keep this studio paid and people fed, and, you know, actually I'm not only looking at this game, but I'm actually looking at the next game that's coming, and like, how do we keep the lights on after we've shipped, and that weird kind of space of after you've shipped the game and there's no money coming in because, you know, it takes time to see that return. How do we budget for, how do we keep the lights on in that space? And so that would be a good example of like, you know, the goal is to ship the game, but often where the studio and making the game kind of creates friction, that there needs to be, I guess, separate goals sometimes emerge from those, or separate priorities. So it's more complicated.
Does this sound familiar? You're in a leadership role at a game studio. Everyone is busy working, no one has any time, but the game, the actual game itself, isn't in a good spot. Maybe it's the tech, maybe it's the lack of a validated prototype, maybe it's that every person seems to have a different idea about what we're trying to build. But you've got a job. There are reports to send, meetings to schedule and facilitate, the occasional season of performance reviews to go through. And everyone is always so busy. When you step back, it makes you wonder if everyone is just going to keep slowly walking towards the abyss until the project or game fails. Is this what it means to be a leader in games? In tech? To endlessly repeat the same sequence of meetings without really moving the needle? To spend hours trying to get Jira tickets and dashboards where they should be? To pretend that everything is fine when you know deep down it really isn't? It doesn't have to be this way. You can make a difference. You can help your team and game succeed, but sometimes you need a bit of help to get there. I've started a game dev leadership accelerator. It aims to level up leaders who see opportunities to make a difference but don't know how to capitalize on them. We'll walk through what it means to lead well and give you tools to understand your organization's challenges and implement changes to overcome them. Game dev is hard. Knowing how to lead will give you an edge. It will still be hard, but you'll be ready to tackle it. If you're interested, let me know below, hit the link. I hope to see you in the accelerator because I believe better leaders will help teams make better games, and I look forward to someday playing what you create.